going on, Headliner Nation? Welcome back into the Fantasy Headliners. Kyle here with my Week 15 tight end rankings. Games all over the place this week. Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Great time of the year. It's even a better time of the year because we're wrapping up fantasy football and we got some championships that we need to win. So let's go ahead and jump into my top 20 tight ends right now and get you ready to set some rosters this week. And coming in at number 20 is going to be Dalton Schultz. And really, Dalton Schultz, if you're looking for a guy to get you 4 to 8 fantasy points, then he's your guy. If you want anything less, he's not going to get it. If you want anything more, he's not going to get it. That's basically what he's been doing. Hayden Hurst at number 19, honestly, he was going to be left off the top 20 until I found out Julio wasn't going to be playing. But the dude has under 10 receiving yards in 3 of the last 4 weeks. They are just not utilizing him right now in any way, shape, or form. But I'm going to pop him up into the top 20 right now because, like I said, no Julio Jones this week. So there's always an opportunity for a potential of a few targets to go his way. Tyler Higbee at number 18. I mean, he seems to be the lead tight end right now in Los Angeles. But like we've said all season long, he's splitting snaps there with Gerald Everett. Obviously, you've got Woods, you've got Cooper Kupp, you've got the run game working very well right now with Akers. They're going up against the Jets. So I don't expect a whole lot of anything from Tyler Higbee this week. Maybe about 30 to 40 yards. Maybe he does score a touchdown. Just not really a great week for positive game script for him. Or excuse me, negative game script for him. Jordan Reed at number 17. No Deebo Samuel means maybe a little bit extra for Jordan Reed this week. George Kittle just wasn't quite able to make his way back. But that's okay. Jordan Reed is a guy that if you're looking to score a touchdown, Jordan Reed could end up getting you there this week. Cole Kmet. Liking Cole Kmet this week. Not quite a start for me as of yet because Jimmy Graham is still getting quite a bit of looks in the passing game. So I'm kind of leaning away from Cole Kmet this week. Now, if you're in an emergency and you need somebody to step in, you could find worse options, I believe. I think if you put Cole Kmet in your lineup going against Minnesota, you could get some decent work. Really, over the last couple of weeks, it's his 14 combined targets over weeks 13 and 14. 37 yards a couple of weeks ago, 41 last week. So again, he's going to kind of be in that Dalton Schultz range for you. 1 touchdown, though, a couple of weeks ago against Detroit. Not a bad matchup for him, but this is going to have to be a matchup where there's going to be a lot of throwing for Cole Kmet to really establish himself as a fantasy producer this week. Dan Arnold, man, I'm not a big fan of Dan Arnold. Some of you are. Some of you absolutely love the guy. He hasn't done anything all season long until very recently. He does have 4 touchdowns in his last 4 games. Volume-wise, not doing a whole lot of anything. The dude only has more than 50 receiving yards twice this season. The dude has only been fantasy relevant twice this season, and that's the last couple of weeks. I mean, back in week 11 when he did score a touchdown, he only had 4 yards. It was his only catch. So he got you 6 points, or he got you 7 points if you play PPR, like 6.5 if you play half PPR. So even then, that's not enough to be a start on a weekly basis. But he has gotten a little bit more volume as of recently. He is being targeted in the end zone, and because of that injury to Kyler Murray's shoulder, I'm thinking he's looking towards Dan Arnold a little bit more so he doesn't have to try and push the ball down the field as consistently as he has in the past. So for Dan Arnold, I'll go with him this week. I've got him listed as a start. He's on the lower end because of the yards he's putting up, but he could still score a touchdown this week. Irv Smith Jr. at number 14. Irv Smith Jr. with no Kyle Rudolph would be a great candidate to have a very good week, especially when you look at the defense that they're going to be going up against. You're going to be going up against a Chicago Bears defense that is very good on the outside against wide receivers. So if Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, for whatever reason, get shut down, and I don't believe that's going to happen, they're both still top 10 tight ends for me this week. But if it does happen, if for some reason that they're just not getting the game or getting the plays that they need to, they start looking Irv Smith Jr.'s way a lot more often this week, coming off a very good performance last week where he led the team in receiving yards. It was good to see him kind of break out last week and have that big game, 63 receiving yards and a touchdown. A couple of weeks ago against Detroit had 2 touchdowns in week 9. So not even a few weeks ago in week 9 had 2 touchdowns. He's dealt with a few injuries on and off this season, but this week going up against Chicago, I like the way he looks. Evan Ingram at number 13. A little bit of an up and down performance as of late, but he's still getting plenty of volume coming his way. Last week up against Arizona was a tough matchup, but Arizona can do a pretty good job of defending against tight ends at times because of their athleticism at linebacker. And then, of course, you can put Tyrann Mathieu on tight ends as well at some point in time. So that does really, really help. Not Tyrann Mathieu. He's the wrong guy. Wrong team. My bad. Throw that out there. I took a step back to a couple years ago, apparently there. My bad. Anyway, they're very good at linebacker. Arizona is. When you look at guys like Simmons being able to cover tight ends. Not Mathieu, because he doesn't play for Arizona anymore. A little bit of a brain fart there. We're good, though. But anyway, previous to last week where he had 4 targets, talking about Evan Ingram, the weeks before that had 8, 9, 10, 10, 9. The dude's still getting plenty of targets. I've got him back up here towards the top 12 this week. Eric Ebron at number 12. Now, the problem with Eric Ebron is all of a sudden James Washington has made his way into the lineup more often and is seeing more time at wide receiver. Now, it is hurting Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson a little bit, but it can also hurt Eric Ebron, especially if for any reason they decide to start running more 4 wide receiver sets. If that ends up happening, you will see less of Eric Ebron. And for those of you that have been kind of relying on him because of that volume recently, that could be a big issue. So for this week, I've still got him listed as a start. I'm being cautious with him. He's on the lower end of the tight end ones. But if you need to run him out there this week, I would still do it. Just keep those fingers crossed. Number 11, Rob Gronkowski. Kind of the same issue as Eric Ebron. You've got so many guys around him right now that are getting targets. It's hard to consistently rely on Rob Gronkowski. Now, the good thing is it looked like he's kind of settled in as that number 3 target on that offense, establishing himself over Antonio Brown. But you either need a whole lot of volume or you need a touchdown from Rob Gronkowski to get him fantasy viable in any certain week. And there's just no guarantee of any of those things happening with the players that they have. Now, if Ronald Jones is out, which he is, and if they have any trouble running the football with Leonard Fournette, maybe LaShawn McCoy gets a few more touches, whatever it may be. But if they have trouble running the football, maybe they do got to throw it a little bit more this week. That helps with Rob Gronkowski. And number 10, Jared Cook. He makes a big jump in my rankings this week because there's no Michael Thomas and Drew Brees is back. So Jared Cook, definitely a guy that I'm looking at this week to have a really good week. Noah Fant at number 9. Noah Fant making his way back. And with Noah Fant, it's about the volume again. Okay, we're hoping for the volume. Last week, he ended up leaving. First, it was said to have been an injury. Then it was said he was to have been sick. The week before that, he did have 7 targets, 4 receptions, 57 yards, his second most receiving yards on the season. Drew Lock being back absolutely helps Noah Fant. He is a little bit inconsistent at times, but one thing we know about Buffalo is they have the tendency to give up some big plays to tight ends, and that's why I'll roll with Noah Fant this week. And number 8, Logan Thomas. I mean, since week 5, he's a top 6 tight end. The dude has been absolutely fabulous. And for those of you that are concerned about Dwayne Haskins starting at quarterback, don't be. Because Logan Thomas had the highest target share of basically any tight end to begin the season with Dwayne Haskins. He had over 20 targets in the first 3 weeks of the season. So Logan Thomas with Dwayne Haskins earlier in the year was just fine. I'm still okay going back to Logan Thomas this week. Dallas Goedert coming in at number 7. Dallas Goedert, even with Zach Ertz being back, has still been a guy that has been getting plenty of targets. Since week 10, he's had at least 6 targets in every single game. Over that stretch, he's had over 60 receiving yards in 3 of those games. And then he's also had 2 touchdowns since then as well. So Dallas Goedert is still seeing a good amount of volume. Now, Arizona, again, talked about them a second ago. They can cover up with tight ends a little bit better than other teams in the league. But maybe Jalen Hurts' rushing ability helps with that a little bit because then those linebackers have to pay attention to Jalen Hurts running out of the backfield, which leaves the tight end a little bit more open. And number 6, that's where we had Hunter Henry. A great week for Hunter Henry. We had him at number 6 going into the week. Robert Tonyan at number 5. And really the top 6 right now aren't going to be changing a whole lot. Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, TJ Hockenson are going to be your top 3 every single week. You lock them in as a 1 with Travis Kelce, a 2 with Darren Waller, a 3 with TJ Hockenson. They're getting great volume right now. TJ Hockenson, even with Chase Daniels starting this week, as what it seems it will be right now, I'm still okay with him. Even though I don't like the wide receivers, I'm still okay with running TJ Hockenson out there. At number 4, Mark Andrews. Love the matchup. Mark Andrews is a guy with, again, these wide receivers, some of them going on the COVID list this week. Mark Andrews is going to see even a higher target share, which is great for his fantasy production. Robert Tonyan at this point continues to be every single week a fantasy viable tight end. With all the wide receivers back and healthy, it's only opened up Robert Tonyan more. And the best thing about that is that Aaron Rodgers is actually paying attention to him this year, instead of like in years past where even if they've had options on the outside, they haven't utilized the tight end position. They're actually doing it this year, and Robert Tonyan is using that athleticism to his benefit. So really, you're going to have Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, TJ Hockenson, 1, 2, 3 every single week. After that, it's going to be kind of a mix of Mark Andrews, Tonyan, Hunter Henry, Goddard, Logan Thomas. And then after that, you're looking at whoever has the most upside on a weekly basis. So there you go. Running through my top 20 tight ends for week 15. Run out there, get those lineups set before Saturday football gets kicked off. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. Hit the like button if you appreciate the content. Comment down below if you got any questions that weren't answered in this video. And then as always, if you're new to the Fantasy Headliners, hit that subscribe button. Become a part of Headliner Nation today. Everybody have a great Saturday and a great Sunday. I'll catch you on the next episode. Have a good one.